And today we're talking about this concept of influence versus manipulation. This idea of sales equals influence, not manipulation. Our job as salespeople for our law firms is to influence another person to get what they want, not to manipulate them into buying from you. And I put this little thing up here. This idea of influence versus manipulation, I gave you guys a little comparison here. Influence is about helping them get what they want. Manipulation, it's trying to control their decision. It's get. We as human beings were born to influence. Baby is born to influence. That's how they get their needs met. You at one point in time were able to influence people even without using language. That is influence at the very basic core. The issue that we are going to be dealing with today, it's me unteaching you and helping you unlearn all the crap that you think you're supposed to do. What you actually need to be is just authentically you exercising that born influencer ability that you already have. Because if you're coming at it and being manipulative and of not coming from influence and you're coming at it from a weird place, you're not going to get your needs met. But if you're influencing another person to give you something to satisfy your needs, everybody's happy. The person giving it to you is happy, you're happy. Then what happens is we start trying to change the way a baby gets their needs met. And this is where the subconscious beliefs start getting embedded in our minds about what we can and cannot do and who we are. You have to ask for permission before you get some water. All these things where we're telling them stop, and we're putting all this stuff on them. And so then we learn you have to be quiet. But you have to understand that what it does is it changes the innate level that a human operates from. For the age of 7, they're not thinking consciously. They say, hey, I have a need. I'm going to get this need met. This is how I get it met. It's only when we put all this other junk on top of them that they have all of these rules around what they can do and what they can't do. And this, you guys may be thinking, why the hell am I in a psychology class? Because these things are dictating what's happening in a sales conversation. But after the age of 7, like we talked about, that conscious mind comes in. What's happening is we have the logic and reason filtering what we're doing, but subconsciously, the only things we care about are staying alive and safety. And what we learn, you have all of these rules for how you stay safe, how you stay alive. These get deeply embedded into your subconscious before the logical cap comes on under the logic. But now what happens is we have subconsciously learned you cannot have what you ask for. So that's what's going on. When you feel weird on a sales call, and even though logically you're thinking I have to get this sale, subconsciously you're thinking if I'm rude and pushy, I'm unsafe. It means death. Now when we look at this, is logically we're thinking let's get the sale. Subconsciously we're thinking you have to be polite so people like you. The body executes what the subconscious accepts. The subconscious beliefs that we're taught, the way it shows up in sales is like this. You hear someone say no, you take it as personal rejection and you have a response, but you hesitate because you fear that they're going to push back or get mad at you, then you're going to feel unsafe in that situation. But if you have things all jumbled in your mind about price and worth and money, so what ends up happening is you have a great sales call where you're going to use all the things that we talk about. And then when you get to price, it gets really awkward. And you guys, I'm telling you this now, but you're going to see this in sales calls as we go through and start going through the sales calls. I worked with someone like the whole call was this great back and forth and talking and digging in and being supportive. And then it just went, what happened? It's because she had all kinds of things in her subconscious about price. So when she got to the price, her subconscious caused all kinds of issues and made it super awkward and she couldn't close anything. It's very interesting. The subconscious dictates what you do. When you're talking to someone and if you don't feel completely comfortable about the price you're quoting, your subconscious is trying to get you to stop. Like even in the weirdest little ways, think about all of the stuff that you've had for years. If you're 30 years old, you have 30 years of subconscious patterns running things, and then you're trying to override them in your sales calls. The beautiful thing is though, once we recognize them, we can start taking systematic approaches to tear them out. The other thing to think about here, because we're all born being told what to do, our clients, they subconsciously want us to lead. People who are on these sales calls who are coming to us, subconsciously, they want you to give them permission to buy. So if we understand that psychologically and subconsciously people want permission to do things, we can tap into that to help influence them to get what they want. Adults are not in a position of giving themselves permission to do things. They still are waiting for someone to give them permission. So we can step in and be that person that gives them permission to get what they want. The other thing is people don't like to say the word no because they don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be kicked out because it triggers a feeling being unsafe. If they're not saying yes, chances are they're not going to say no, which means you keep getting permission to contact them. You keep following up with them, and then they end up buying from you. The other thing is most people want to do the right thing. Most people want to know that they're doing the right thing. So if you know that and you can tap into that, and something as simple as, oh, how can I help you? I have a criminal case. Great, you did the right thing calling us. We handle criminal defense. Tiny little triggers like that saying you did the right thing. People like to be right. So we can play on this to help influence them in a way that gets them to what they actually need and want. Here's something to think about. In a sales conversation, one side is always going to influence the other side. If you are on a sales call and you have a potential client, either you are going to influence the client or the client is going to influence you to back off of them. All these things that we have going on in our mind, all of that stuff is going to be controlling how we approach our sales calls unless we actively rewire it. When we're looking at this idea of negative beliefs around money and how we influence other people, this is what shows up in our sales conversations. If we are buying into those subconscious beliefs, it shows up in a couple of different ways, but coming from scarcity and coming from manipulation, you're trying to push them to make a decision without actually getting to a place where they want to buy. You're just trying to convince them to do it now because you need it. If you're coming from a position of influence, you don't have to get anything. You don't have to talk over someone. You don't have to be right. You have to listen and help them reach the decision themselves. What do I offer and what is my service worth? That comes from a place of influence. Competition comes from a place of scarcity. There's not enough, so you have to compete for what's out there. If you're coming from this competitive, scarcity-minded perspective, people are not going to feel good after talking to you. They're going to feel drained. They're going to feel anxious. They're going to feel stressed. They may have purchased because you manipulated them into doing it, but they're not going to feel good about it. If we come at it from the perspective of influencing another person, if we come at it from the underlying belief, then our perspective changes and how we approach the sales calls change. We will go through and we will say, there are always people coming in. If I don't close this person, it's okay. More are going to come in. It comes from a much more positive place. And because of that, the feelings that the client has after the call are much more positive. It's much more hopeful. So it becomes more of a partnership with the client. It becomes more collaborative rather than you pushing, getting, and trying to manipulate. First thing here that I have on the slide about pricing conversations, looking at it from the perspective of what your subconscious believes versus what theirs believes. If they say it's too expensive, yes, I agree with that concept. I agree that it's too expensive. That's you buying into this idea of a money belief that money is scarce and you have to save everything. You see it as an investment. Like, why wouldn't you invest in your family? Why wouldn't you invest in your ability to build a life here in the US? The other thing with this is fees have a negative connotation. There's nothing positive associated with the term fee. The term price is pretty neutral. Price is not a positive or negative. This is just what it costs. That's the price. Investment is a positive term. Is you're investing in something for the future. You are putting something in to get even more out. So if you feel like investment is too fluffy or feels weird to say, start with price. Price is super clean and neutral. If you really want to show you the value, talk about investing. Looking here, handling objections, coming at it from a detached place of, I don't need this, I'm just here to serve, you would say something like, can you help me understand what's most important to you in making this decision? Not let me tell you all the reasons why you're wrong and let me convince you that our firm's the best. What's driving your questions here? Just be curious. You're going to get a lot more information that way too. This is an example. We were talking about competition. If you're coming from this scarcity, not enough convincing approach, the reason we go through this over and over is because constant spaced repetition is what helps you change a belief. What we're changing today is this idea that we have no control over what's happening in the sales conversation. We do. The question is, where are we coming from? Are we coming from a place of manipulation, or are we coming from a place of service, a place of influence, a place of helping someone achieve their goals? Remember, you already know how to influence people. The fact that you are alive proves that you know how to influence people. Use that influence for the positive, not negative. Don't manipulate, influence people. You want to help people get what they want. Another belief that you can start telling yourself is selling is easy. It's fun. Selling is helping people. Before you get on any call, remind yourself there's more than enough out there. My big purpose on this call is how can I help this person that I'm talking to right now? All right, those are our limiting beliefs that we're rewiring. Let's go influence people to get what they need, and it'll help us move forward in our lives.